As Subaru and Rem were running towards the mansion, Rem would get slammed into a tree, her right leg making a snapping sound as it breaks on impact against the tree. Rem would let out a small scream from the pain and the sudden impact, knocking the wind out of her and her breath being taken. Subaru would swipe, turning the shadow across from his body and mimicking it into a blade, cutting the black hand, causing Rem to fall to the ground and not get pressed into the tree any harder.
Oh, I see, you can see them. That means you must be. Yes, you must be Pride.
How? I completely destroyed his body back there. How is he? As Subaru turns back around, he would see a girl wearing the same outfit as the other witch cultists. Subaru would be wondering what the hell's going on. At least, that's where he was left off last part 7 for What If Subaru was a Dragon Slayer, aka Shadow Dragon Subaru. Welcome to part 8 for What If Subaru was a Shadow Dragon Slayer. If you guys have not been caught up, make sure to go back to the prior parts, or your prior part if you're still somewhat familiar with the series, and make sure to get yourself acquainted with what's going on. Anyway, let's hop right back into the action, with Subaru now confronting one of the fingers Betelgeuse had taken over. That, of course, being the supplementary body Betelgeuse had chosen after Subaru in the last part had completely decimated his original body.
So you're still alive, huh? Well, this time I'll make sure to break every bone in that damn body.
Subaru remembered what he had seen, Petra's flaming, burned corpse, that of all the villagers and all the kids. Subaru's fist would tighten, his teeth now grinding.
I take it back. Actually, this is perfect. I still haven't gotten all of that out from before anyway.
Subaru would look up, his eyes aflame.
Yes, that's the look. That's the look. Perfect. Come on, show me how much love she's given you, Pride.
I don't know why the hell you're calling me that. Doesn't matter. You won't have a mouth in a few minutes anyway. While Betelgeuse continued to talk, suddenly Subaru would blitz past him with speed, turning the lower half of his body into shadows before re-submerging it back to the surface, basically increasing his speed without sacrificing his physical attack. Subaru would slash with that shadow blade he had made earlier, cutting Betelgeuse's throat. The splurt of blood would spray out before beginning to fill up the now empty hole where the neck had been. Blood began to gurgle through Betelgeuse's new mouth, now the words that had been rising through his throat being stuck, slowly drowning in a pool of his own blood. Subaru would return the sword back to Shadows, now covering his right fist with shadows, using a Shadow Dragon Claw, slashing at Betelgeuse's back, and a nice crunching sound being made from his, or I guess I should say her, spine. The body of Betelgeuse would go flying, ripping into shreds as it sprays across the courtyard of the entrance up to the mansion. Subaru would turn, looking to Rem, running over as he helps her up. Rem, are you awake? Rem would be unconscious. Subaru would try to wake her up, seeing her leg snapped at a really uncomfortable angle. Ram is going to kill me, he'd be thinking. Fuck. Subaru would lift Rem in a princess-style carry, now hoisting her up and beginning to run up towards the mansion. If I'm right, that guy shouldn't have attacked at this place. At least, not yet. After Subaru had brought Rem inside, Subaru would leave her laying against the door, screaming out into the mansion if anyone can hear him that Rem's laying here. He would whisper to Rem that he'd be right back, opening the door and walking outside, his black cloak draped over his shoulders, only exemplifying his status as a Shadow Dragon Slayer. Subaru would have a different look in his eyes, the look of a hunter. I know that he's not dead, but I'm gonna make sure of it. If he's smart, he would have begun to run by now. Subaru would track Betelgeuse's scent through the forest, moving at the speed of shadows. Another finger would appear. Subaru would instantly slaughter it, Betelgeuse not being able to even say a word, as Subaru would go around murdering and destroying the bodies of every single finger that he could find. The witch cultist bodies littered the floors of the forest, now slowly rotting and nourishing the plants to come anew. Subaru had finally found it, the last finger. Subaru would smirk, saying this isn't even going to make him feel any better. Not after beating him so many times. Not after seeing that. Disgusting. I can't believe you can even live with yourself. Subaru's bloodlust had been tamed by that of disgust, realizing the filth of a human being that Betelgeuse was, taking no joy in any of it at this point. But what Subaru didn't know is that Betelgeuse had already achieved a new plan, begging Subaru to come and finish him. And Subaru would happily oblige. Shadow Dragon, roar! A black tornado of wind, darkness, and magical power would completely cover Betelgeuse, erasing his body atom by atom, until nothing remained but bones, fading to dust. Subaru would then lick his lips, saying, all those shadow hands were disgusting, by the way. As Subaru turns around, deciding to head back to the mansion, while walking, he'd begin to feel weird. His left hand began to twitch, his right eye twitching. What the hell? Subaru would begin to hear voices in his head. What the hell is... As Subaru's consciousness was beginning to fade, he could hear someone else's voice coming out of his body.
Ah, perfect. This body will suit me well. It has so much love. I can feel it. My power is so strong.
Subaru would realize it a moment too late, realizing that his body was being taken over by this bastard. He somehow had used some sort of magic or spirit arts, something, to take his consciousness from his body. Subaru was slowly losing control of his body and limbs. As he was approaching the mansion, Subaru was focusing all of his magical power into one spot. Betelgeuse would whisper into his mind, the little that remained,
"There's no point in resisting. I already have everything I need."
Subaru would, with the last bit of his willpower, use all of his magical power in a final burst.
Shadow. What are you blabbering on about now? Dragon. You're getting annoying. King.
Huh?
Penance.
A roar of magical power and energy, a roar of a dragon would emerge. The ripping howling of a black hole opening, beginning to suck everything into its path.
No.
Betelgeuse would be sucked inside of the black hole, inside of the penance of the Shadow Dragon King. Subaru would judge his own sins, deciding to destroy both of them together. Subaru's body would be ripped apart, Subaru releasing all of his second and main origin's power in a single burst, ripping through his body, spirit, and soul. This basically destroying Betelgeuse, but him in the process. It's at this point that he'd begin to hear a cry. Why? He'd think. Why is she crying? In front of him was a beautiful silver-haired girl. Her eyes a bright purple, but her face, although she was beautiful, was filled with misery. I don't understand. Why do you cry for me? Subaru's whispers would fade off into the night, before suddenly he'd hear a familiar sound. Waking back up, in that very same bed, back at Crush's mansion. Rem be whispering in Subaru's ear.
Subaru?
Huh? Rem! Subaru would sit back up, realizing that he's alive. Wow, and that weirdo's out of my head. I never thought I'd be doing that. God, I'm so weak. Subaru would punch himself in the head, thinking that he really had to go killing himself in order to get rid of that guy. Damn it. Subaru would lay back in his bed, annoyed at himself. What am I gonna do now? If we don't hurry, the whole village is gonna die. And Rom and Emillia, I don't even know what happened to them. I was getting pretty cold in the mansion too. I wonder if Puck has them holed up somewhere. Subaru began mumbling, now gnawing on his finger, thinking about what he's gonna do next. Subaru, are you okay? Rema could smell the scent of the witch on him having grown stronger, wondering what happened while he was sleeping. Subaru would sit straight up saying, "Oh, nothing, he just had a bad nightmare." Yeah, a nightmare. That's all. That's actually when this Subaru began to consider something. Actually, is it even possible that all of those times were they forced to live on without me? This horrifying reality would hit Subaru like a truck. Subaru would grind his teeth, promising he's never going to rely on that power. He's not going to die ever again. Needless to say, Subaru's pretty damn fired up. Subaru would hop out of bed telling Rem that he has some training to do. Rem, tell Crush that I have something I want to talk to her about. We'll be leaving in 3 days, alright? Subaru would have an oddly serious look about him, Rem, although confused, would nod, saying that although his gate's not even healed yet, Subaru must have a very good reason to want to leave so early. Rem would say she's gonna go tell Crush that Subaru wanted to speak with her. Subaru would nod, now getting out of bed and pulling on his clothes. Looking out the window onto the Capitol, Subaru would be organizing the things in his mind. The white whale, witch cultists, the village, and a body hopper. Subaru would grit his teeth, realizing that he's come to a certain conclusion. Gah, I really don't want to do that, but it might be my only option. Subaru would decide to head out, telling Rem he's going out for a small walk. Rem would be a bit confused, but say for him to come back safely. Really wondering what's going on with him today. I think it's time I pay Julius a little visit, Subaru would think. In our next scene, we see Julius standing in his office with Subaru and Dogaza, bowing on all fours, begging Julius to accompany him on a trip back to the Roswaal estate. Julius would think he's mocking him, telling him to get the hell out of there. Subaru would grind his teeth, saying he doesn't enjoy being here any more than he does. But, regardless of that, Subaru would sigh. I think I need your help. Remind me again why the hell I'd ever want to help you, Julius would say, the bandage still on his cheek from when Subaru had decimated the entire Night Order. Subaru would sigh, saying he already apologized for that, right? Can't we let bygones be bygones? Julius's eye would twitch, thinking, this guy is so insufferable, his fist tightening. Why the hell do you need my help anyway? You're plenty capable on your own. Subaru would explain a bit of the situation, saying that there's someone that he's going to have to end up fighting, who seems pretty damn tricky, to be honest. And, well, you see, Julius, when I was thinking of rat bastards who know exactly about that kind of technique, you were just the first person that came to my mind. Subaru would be thrown out of Julius's office, plopped on the ground with an innocent look on his face while the door closed behind him. Subaru would scratch on the door like a cat. "Aw, come on, I was just kidding. Please, come on, help me. I'll give you a treat." Julius would crack the door open. Did you just suggest you give me a treat like I'm a pet? Well, Julius, it's quite an honest mistake, you see. When I see you licking all of those girls' hands all the time, it's easy to see why I'd think that you're a dog. Julius would promptly slam the door, saying he's never helping Subaru in his entire life. "Aw, come on." Over my dead body. Subaru would sigh. "Look, Julius, I really do need your help. Please, at the very least, for Emilia's sake." The voice behind the door would go quiet, with Julius thinking, whatever. He'll probably just stand here all day bothering me if I don't go. Julius would open the door, asking what the hell Subaru wants. Subaru would smirk, his jagged teeth showing. "So, you can use the spirit arts, right?" It's later that same day when Subaru would have his meeting with Crush that Rem had set up for him. "You know your gate's not healed yet," Crush would comment, sipping from her wine glass. Yeah, I know. It'll heal on its own in like 2 days anyway. Now, down to business. I'm not exactly great at these dinner table conversations or schemes. I'm just gonna get straight to the point. I need something from you, and I might have something you want in return." Crush would sigh, having expected him to be a little more tactful than that at least. Subaru would point his finger directly at Crush, saying, "I think I know a location of something that you might be interested in." "Oh, you think so?" "Yep. I'm pretty sure that I know the location of the white fish. Whale. The white whale." Crush would stare at Subaru intently for a second, a surprised look coming across her face. "Well, you're either insane, delusional, or you truly believe you know the location. Huh. Interesting. Well, let's just say that, for the sake of the argument, that you do, in fact, know where and when the white whale will appear. What sort of exchange would you want to trade that information anyway?" Subaru would smirk, saying, "Well, I've been hoping that after the subjugation of the white whale, I could borrow your guys' help to defend a few things while I go clean up with my friend Julius. See, there's going to be an attack on Emillia and the Roswaal estate. So, I'm aware you're not exactly Emilia's friend or anything, but you did do her the favor by having me come here. I assume you don't hate her just because she's a half-elf or whatever everyone always says." Crush would close her eyes, thinking about the matter. While she was contemplating Subaru's idea, Subaru would quickly shake his hands around, panicked, hoping that she wouldn't decline, saying that he'll also help take out the white whale, so it shouldn't be too difficult and there shouldn't be too many injuries or anything. Crusher then asking if Subaru's so confident that he could defeat the white whale by himself, why does he even require her aid with that other matter to attend? Subaru would have a small memory, remembering while he was walking towards the mansion the sound of the crushing of Rem's leg. Subaru would look down, looking at his own fist. Not everyone is as powerful as I am. And I'm not saying they have to be, or should be. Subaru would see Petra in his mind's eye. But I'm only strong enough to go on the offensive. I can protect myself and maybe a few other people, but that's about it. I can't. Subaru would clutch his own chest, remembering when he came home from school, the day he had met Skiandrum. Remembering when he had found his parents murdered. I can't protect the people closest to me, just by myself. I just want to make sure that everyone survives. That's all. I'm not asking for any of your help with the actual attack. I just want your forces to defend the village and the Roswaal mansion while I go out for it myself. Besides, I already have a plan to take that creep down. Subaru would feel tears welling up in his eyes. Why am I crying? Subaru would rub the tears away. Oh, that's why. 'Cause I feel just as weak and powerless as back then, huh? Subaru would breathe in, before bowing to Crush. Please, just help me protect my friends. That's all. She would sigh, saying that if he wasn't bluffing or lying somehow about that white whale incident, then she'll help out, asking him when the time of the white whale's arrival will be. Subaru's head would shoot up, smiling, his face now golden, the tears still running down his face. Yeah, of course! Over the next week before the attack of the white whale, Subaru would explain to Crush, Wilhelm, and the rest of the Crush camp the plan, explaining that first will come the white whale, and then they'll move on towards the Roswaal estate to protect from the witch cult. Subaru would explain that there was a huge tree that Rem told him based off what he had seen. It was likely that he was talking about Flugel's tree, the massive tree on that highway where many merchants and other travelers go. That open field, huh? Crush would say. Normally that'd be an ideal place for a battle like this, but with so much area to move, the white whale will have no trouble getting through our forces, or hell, just even escaping attacks. Within this week of prep time, aside from just getting resources and troops ready for the assault on the white whale, Wilhelm and Subaru would keep up their training. Subaru telling Wilhelm that he's a bit familiar with the sword, and asking if he'd like to warm up to get ready for the battle. Subaru would tell Wilhelm he can go all out, with the two using real blades. Subaru would tell Wilhelm to not worry about if he gets hurt. Subaru would slash down, cutting into Wilhelm's sword with a loud metal clang, both swords rejecting the other's force as the two continue their sparring match. Wilhelm would be even more impressed with this boy's sword technique, feeling the strength behind that blow. Subaru's physical might carrying him, but his sword technique being subpar, right now at least. Regardless of his current performance, Wilhelm could easily tell that Subaru was putting his all behind every strike and blow, thinking that Subaru is going to be improving rather quickly upon his own sword style. Wilhelm would ask Subaru one day after their sparring match, asking Subaru why he wants to learn the sword if he's so physically strong already. Subaru would look up into the cloud-lit sky, thinking about what it meant to be a knight. That stupid thing that he'd heard all those knights saying earlier before he beat the crap out of them. Subaru would see a vision of Reinhardt in his head. Well, first off, if I'm ever gonna have a real fight with that guy, Subaru would pound his other hand to his fist, then I'm definitely gonna be fighting with a sword. It'll be even more embarrassing for him when he fails against me with his own weapon. But aside from that, Subaru would sigh. He'd blush a little actually, scratching his cheek. He promised not to laugh, okay, old man? I just think it'd be cool if I could be an awesome knight that everyone can depend on. For Emillia, Rem, Rom, even Roswaal. Sorry if that's a stupid reason, okay? Subaru would pull himself up, grabbing his sword, before Wilhelm could even say anything. Let's do another match. Eventually, the days would pass, Rem being more concerned about Subaru than ever. She hasn't seen him push himself so far before. But to be honest, this is pretty much nothing compared to the training Skiandrum had him going through, but when he was first learning magic. Rem would be checking up on Subaru frequently, wondering if he's okay, knocking on the door before he goes to bed and seeing if Subaru was really alright. Subaru would nod, telling Rem that he's just fine. That is, as long as everyone else is. Subaru at this point is more so fighting for the sake of everyone rather than himself, burning through on sheer willpower and the power of friendship, just like his predecessors. Anyway, Subaru was getting antsy, hoping for the day to come soon, tomorrow being the leaving day for the subjugation. Rem would sit next to Subaru on a chair waiting for him to fall asleep, brushing his hair and saying that he's doing a really good job and that he can relax a little bit. I'm here, you know, Rem would say. Subaru would lull off into sleep, and as he did so, Rem would blush a little bit before whispering, I really do love you. Rem would brush Subaru's hair one last final time, leaning over him, her lips getting closer, her breath on Subaru's face. Rem would stop herself before standing back up and walking out the door, leaving and shutting it behind her. Rem would be covering her face with her hands, thinking that she can't believe she almost did that. Subaru being fast asleep. And the next day would come, with nothing happening. Subaru's time to subjugate the white whale was fast approaching, him and the rest of the crush camp heading out. As they were leaving, Subaru would look around, making sure he was there. Julius sitting on one of the carts. Hey, you actually came, Subaru would say. Julius would sigh. Not like I really wanted to, but if I hadn't, you wouldn't leave me alone, probably. Subaru would slap him on the back. Yeah, it's whatever. Subaru would hop off of Julius's cart, running back over and now hopping on one of the ground dragons with the cart carrying himself, Rem, and Felix. Felix asking why Subaru was not riding with them. Subaru would explain that he'd probably puke his guts out if he did that, remembering his unpleasant trip to the capital in Emilia's carriage. Just thinking about it makes me feel sick. But yeah, it's okay so long as my friend here's carrying me. Ain't that right, huh? Subaru would begin scratching the neck of the ground dragons, the two carrying the cart, with them being particularly fond of him. In this timeline especially, Subaru's affiliation with ground dragons is even stronger. Subaru pretty much able to almost communicate with them without speaking. They're almost like siblings after all, or weird step-cousins. Yeah, anyway, we're not gonna talk about that any longer. But, the white whale subjugation will begin, with the entire team heading out, Subaru riding atop the ground dragon, and Rem sitting behind him. As they get closer to the Centiflugal's tree, Subaru would try and remember what the sun looked like back at that time, thinking and closing his eyes, saying that it should be getting pretty close. After a few hours of travel, they'd finally see the caravan of merchants Subaru had talked about, with Crush being impressed that he could have predicted something like that. Subaru would get off of the ground dragon, standing in the middle of the field, making sure that Rem and the others had warned the caravan to get out of the way, many of the merchants fleeing, including Otto, who Subaru would ask to stick around after the fact. Otto would be terrified, but says that he would help evacuate people with his cart if he really says he has to. Subaru would smirk, saying that if he does help, he'll try and get Lord Roswaal to buy all of the oil off of him that he has. How did you know I had... Alright, get on out of here, Subaru would say, slapping him on the back. Otto yelping as he grabs his things and gets the hell out of Dodge. And now, the field was silent. Crush was waiting, sitting and hoping that Subaru hadn't lied about this, and this wasn't some effective ploy to either attack the capital or just mess with Crush's credibility. Subaru would be looking up, wondering what's going on, and just as he says aloud, "Where the hell is that?" Immediately, the howling of some strange creature would cover the land. A thick fog began to cover the field. Crush would yell at the top of her lungs, "Everyone, positions!" Subaru running over to Wilhelm, with them two being the main vanguard. That is, the two of them both deciding to go up and fight that thing themselves. As the whale would descend, beginning to attack the soldiers, Subaru would lunge forward, transforming into shadows, Wilhelm running at an equivalent speed, matching Subaru. As the two run forward while the whale is still on the ground, leaping out of the shadow and Wilhelm jumping into the air, the two would slash into the flesh of the white whale, Subaru using a shadow dragon claw, cutting into the flesh and pulling himself up. Huh? Immediately, Subaru would notice, screaming out to everyone that magic isn't as effective on this thing. Subaru would pull his hand back, seeing barely any damage from his shadow dragon claw, wondering what the hell's going on. Mages from below would be shooting up attacks towards the white whale, with it doing barely any damage, the furs on its body negating the magic being sent towards it. Oh, Subaru would say, so it's just on the outside, huh? Subaru would then use magic on his right hand, now pulling it through his left, creating a black sword out of shadows. Hey, old man! Wilhelm would turn, the two running towards each other, slashing the flesh of the white whale. Subaru would turn, spinning, as he carved a circle with Wilhelm into the body of the white whale, before Subaru would reach down with one hand, covering himself with power, as he grabs the flesh of the whale and rips it off of its body, the whale howling in pain. Perfect! Alright, old man, leave the rest to me. Subaru would pull his right fist back as he charges shadows into it. Shadow Dragon Fist! Subaru would lunge up into the air before slamming back down to the fleshy pink skin of the white whale, using all of his magic power connected into his fist and slamming the body of it. The whale would actually bend in midair, Rem using alhumas to shoot blades of ice towards its body as it falls towards the ground, crashing into it. Soldiers would charge forward, yelling as they begin carving at the white whale. Crush would be shocked having seen Subaru ground the whale with a single punch. What a monster, she'd be thinking. Looks like you got yourself quite the subordinate, Emillia. Willem be screaming as he slashes, ripping through the body of the whale, saying that he's going to avenge her, thinking of his wife. This monster that took her away from me. Willem would have seen his mind when he was a young swordsman, having battled the young Astrea for the first time and lost. The two of them both being equally skilled with a sword, and him just being outmatched by her power. The one person who truly understood him had been taken away by this beast. The time had finally come to where she could finally rest. Wilhelm slashing and ripping through the creature until ribs and bones were showing. The whale would call out with a slow hum. Suddenly more howls would begin coming into the distance as there would be two more white whales that form. Subaru would look up into the sky, trying to see past the fog, using his night vision as a shadow dragon slayer. There he'd see, there's 3 smaller whales and a main one. Subaru would grit his teeth, not realizing this from the first time he encountered the white whale. I'm done with this. I have to go save them. Subaru would decide that he's gonna be a little ambitious with magic power here. I'll slurp some of their shadows later anyway. Subaru would get back to the ground, running over to Crush, telling her to get everyone the hell away from him immediately. At least 100 meters distance. Go, run. I'll bring all of them down and then everyone can come charging back in. This was not in any of the plans they had talked about, but Crush would nod, trusting his instinct and his skill, after having seen it firsthand. She'd yell for everyone to get back and leave it to Subaru, Rem asking him if he'll really be alright. Subaru would turn, a smile crossing his face, his eyes gleaming golden. This is what I was made to do. Taking down huge monsters like this? Piece of cake. Subaru pounded his fist into his other one. These things, after all, are nothing compared to dragons. Once the distance had been cleared, Wilhelm would be the last to leave the vicinity, the other whales now closing in on their pursuers. I have to do this now, Subaru would think. Subaru would charge all of his magical power into the spell, saying that he'll recover on the way to the mansion later. Tighter! Tighter! Subaru would condense his magic even tighter, making it slowly begin to swirl and spin into the form. Come down here, you big fat fish. I'm about to teach you who the real monster is. Shadows began to cover Subaru's entire body as a black darkness would encompass the entire area in a huge sphere. Shadow Dragon King! Penance! A flash of light would cover the entire field, being sucked into darkness, the sun seemingly eclipsed by Subaru's magic power. Crush's mouth would be wide open as a huge suction would begin to pull on everyone. Everyone sliding against the ground, stabbing their blades and hands into the ground to hold from being pulled in. Subaru would hold his hand up, now aiming towards the whale and using a full power of a black hole. All of the whales would begin to get sucked down. The main whale, being heavier, would lose flight first, crashing into the spell, as half of its body and its brains would go exploding across the field, blood splattering everywhere as Subaru eradicated 1.5 of the whales, the large whale now slowly dying from the black hole's impact, and the third whale getting pulled closer towards the ground, ramming into it on its side. Subaru would fall to the ground, whispering that it's all up to you, Wilhelm. Not a second later would Wilhelm come running in at full speed, catching Subaru as he falls to the ground and laying him there, drawing his sword, thanking Subaru for all he's done, for this opportunity, to finally end this once and for all. With one final charge, Wilhelm would scream, his battle cry now reaching everyone on the battlefield, as all of Crush's forces would charge forward using all their strength to kill the last whale. Wilhelm doing most of the damage, slashing and cutting, finally finishing off the menace of the white whale once and for all. Rem would now have Subaru lying on her lap, stroking his hair just as she had the night prior. You really are amazing, she'd be thinking. Everyone would be surrounding Subaru. With the white whale defeated, there was only one last thing to do. Subaru would open his eyes, beginning to munch on everyone's shadows, saying thanks for the magic power, before slurping up and pulling himself off the ground. Oh, Julius, are you ready to do that thing I told you about? Julius would nod, the rest of Crush's forces following in Subaru's command, Crush thanking him for his help with the assault on the white whale, saying that there was no way they probably could have even won without him. Subaru would smile, saying it was no problem. And now that that's taken care of, Subaru would smirk. There's only one thing left to finish. I'm coming for you, Betelgeuse! If you guys want to see the next part 9, for what if Subaru was a shadow dragon slayer, make sure to hit that like button, comment down below what you thought, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this from me. Sorry this took a little longer to come out. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I have kind of a cold right now. So my voice is pretty sore. So I took a few re-records to get everything right. Anyway, if you guys did enjoy this, look forward to the next part where we finally have the finale to Season 1 of ReZero with Shadow Dragon Slayer Subaru. And I'll see you guys all then. Make sure to check the community tab for any upcoming videos as well. I posted a list of the next upcoming ones, including Sukuna Subaru's finale, so keep your eyes open. I'll see you guys then. Bye.